Good morning, everybody. It is a beautiful day, and we've got a lot to talk about. Can you hear me okay? These are new mics, and I have not been impressed yet. But if you guys like them, I love them. Now, today we're going to be talking about a lot, but the first story I'd like to talk about is people's pension. Because if you're relying on somebody else to take care of you when you're older, as a lot of people are, and I get that. It's the way we were raised, right? That's the way it's been forever. But I would encourage you to read the book Robert Kiyosaki wrote, Who Stole My Pension? Because that's what's going on with Yellow Trucking Company and many others. There's a lot of companies that are not going to be able to pay. And Yellow just is probably one of the first ones. And keep in mind, this happens every single time when governments encourage, they're sending off the wrong signals. You know, they're promising these bailouts. Oh, don't worry about it, we're going to bail you out, but it's not really a bailout. You know, when I think it was Doug Casey asked the Zimbabwe president, "Why did you print all that money?" He said, "Because we had to pay our elected officials, we had to pay our military, we had to pay our pensions." Who gets voted if their pension doesn't get bailed out? You know what I'm saying? They're going to buy votes. We'll talk a little bit about that too, because we've got Kennedy talking about he's pro Bitcoin, and you know he wants to start very small of issued T-bills that would be backed by hard currency, gold, silver, and Bitcoin. Doesn't that sound cool? Here's the problem. I'll talk about that in a minute. First, I want to give you what the thumbnail said. I'll try to be honest with you guys. So, Yellow Corporation has failed to make its required pension contributions. Most pensions are broke. They're gambling with your money in the stock market. Hey guys, I'll get to you in the comments in just a second. Thank you for being here. Now, the contributions for June, and it's planning to withhold payments that they're obligated to pay for July. So these people are just done. The pension funds, the pensions accruals, and healthcare coverage for workers will suspend on Sunday, according to the statement by the Teamsters. Now, the Teamsters Union has threatened to strike on Monday because the company owes $50 million, a large sum for the corporation in financial distress. So they're already in distress. They owe everybody, and it looks like they've been just kind of holding back and hoping somebody will come bail them out, because that's kind of been the thing to do, you know. And the writer of the story says, after all, this is not an Elon Musk style default, like I'm not going to pay because I don't want to. Rather, a decision that is born out of lack of sufficient funds to cover the payments that they're obligated to pay. Now, they'll probably have to do some liquidation because they've got $100 million. I mean, they're sitting on Yellow currently has an excess of $100 million in cash reserves. So I guess they'll get to start, getting rid of those. So, guys, let me know what you think. Who's next? I had a short list of some companies that were in the same predicament, and it was around 2012. So I'm not going to bring those up, but it was some big companies, General Electric. You know, there's a lot of companies that are promising things that they're not going to be able to deliver. But more than likely, you'll be able to get your money. It just won't buy much. That's what we're experiencing now. Higher inflation. Now we're going to experience some deflation, some deflation in the economy with high prices. It's like a stagflation situation. Now, it would be the largest strike since 500,000 steel workers walked off the job in 1957. So, That is not right. Actually, that was the UPS story. I've got them all mixed up. Sorry, that's the next one. The Teamsters Union and UPS are expected to resume negotiations next week. See, I thought that was over. I thought we went through that and we're done. But now it's different. Next week, as the strike deadline of August 1st approaches, the union representing 340,000 workers is seeking a new contract agreement that includes better pay for part-time workers and wage increases for full-time workers, and could cost us around $170 million a day. UPS has expressed its willingness to increase and pay benefits, but wants to reach a fair deal. I believe the same thing's going to happen. They're going to come to an agreement, and then there'll be some other kind of scare later. But just so you know, it could be a big layoff, a big negotiation, a big strike. Okay, now I do want to talk a little bit about, I'll touch on Kennedy for a minute, but I want to talk about how Americans are starting to get into a bind and HELOCs are going through the roof. I was at the bank yesterday talking to our extremely friendly and very conservative bank that we decided to go with, and I've really enjoyed them. I hope you're watching because I'm really impressed. But she has been overloaded, I would say, because she's having to do all of the mortgages. Okay, wait a minute. Mortgages have almost stopped. That's just it. They let that department go. So if there is one or two to do, she gets to do those as well. And several other types of mortgages. I can't remember exactly what she said. But, you know, that happens. I've seen that happen in construction. When it gets slow, they lay off the side that's not doing very well, that's not doing as much, and they'll put that load on somebody else. They're going to protect their bottom line, and we're starting to see it. But first, Robert Kennedy Jr. These politicians, look, I like to call them says dues. It's just like you can relate a lot to like the construction industry. When people come in, it's their first day, and they hey, do you know about? Oh yeah, I know how to do that. Well, can you do this? Yeah, I can do that. I can do that, and I can do this, and I can do that, and I can do it all because I'm the best. And they can't do nothing. They just say they can do it. He's making promises that are more than likely lies. Just because he's a politician. I'm not saying he's just an awful person. He says some really good things, but that's the thing, guys. They all say good things. They all have a good story. Well, let's get into it. A presidential candidate has pledged to gradually back the US dollar with Bitcoin if elected. He believes that backing the dollar with hard currency like gold and silver, platinum, or Bitcoin, you got to throw Bitcoin in there, could stabilize the American economy and curb inflation. Kennedy plans to start small, perhaps 1% of issued T-bills backed with hard assets. That's a step in the right direction, but the problem is that the fix? That's going to be painful. That switch over to something hard. That's why we couldn't suffer more than a 1%. You know, it wouldn't. I don't think you can just do that. Hey, I'm going to make everything better. Everything's hard assets now. No, it's not going to happen. But he says he'll do it gradually. He also opposes making Bitcoin to US dollar conversions exempt from capital gains tax. So you can check this out. You think he's going to do that? Let's say that, what would that do for the price of Bitcoin? Or precious metals, or silver, or all that? We know that's good money, right? That's money, period. But what would that do for the price of them? If you said, if some elected official does what he said he was going to do, and he put Bitcoin as, you can move into this asset without being taxed. Okay, so you can buy you can swap your currency over without taxation to an asset that could appreciate 10x from where it's at now or more in 1 year. We're fixing to experience some crazy stuff. That's why it's a little bit, in my opinion, it's a little bit crazy not to speculate a very, very small percentage of your net worth in crypto, and just the solid ones, not the sketchy altcoins that nobody knows of or people create and create more. Just think about it. All right. I'm actually long 5 Bitcoin right now in my stock trading account. It's really fun. It's the paper. Don't get too concerned. But more sooner than later, it will not be paper. I'm really liking it, guys. It's all coming together. The DXY, the stock market, watching the charts every day and going through Joe, Simplistic Chart Joe's course. It's in the description. And I'm also taking Johnny Bravo's course at the same time. When I do something, I get all the way in. I'm going to crush this thing. And I think you'd be doing well to get on board, because I'm sick of being a depositor. I'm ready to be a withdrawer from the stock market. I have consistently lost in the stock market. Just because it doesn't make sense to me. I invest on narrative. And, everything says we're headed to a recession. But who says the stock market's not going to go to all-time highs first? So why not be able to read the charts and figure it out along the way? It just makes sense to me. It's actually not hard. If you can read a tape measure and you can put lines on, highs and low pivots and stuff like that, it'll really kind of start to make sense. And they hit them every time. They hit them. You don't know which way it's going to go next, but there's certain things that you'll learn through those courses that will help you. Okay, so that's it. Oh, and by the way, DeSantis is vowing to ban digital currencies if he's elected. So, we'll see. I hope so. Obama said my insurance wasn't going to go up either. And it's went up a lot, almost double. That's been the biggest lie in political history, probably. Well, maybe not the biggest one lately. 100% of pensions will fail? Yeah, maybe so. Now, as we start to see these pensions crash, because, guys, I want to say they had to make, on average, 7.5% in the stock market. That means they don't have your money. They just speculate and hope they win while they do whatever they want. I mean, it's a broken environment. And I went through what the government had to say about it, and they said, "Oh, no, you're protected. You're going to get it." What they say and do is two different things, usually. Now, check this out. This is just lets you know that we are headed to hard times. The rejection rate for loan applications has reached its highest level in 5 years, at 21.8%, according to the latest edition of the Federal Reserve survey. Overall credit applications have also decreased to the lowest level since October 2020. What were we doing in October 2020? The increase in rejection rates has been seen across all age groups, so we're not leaving anybody out, with the highest rates among individuals with credit scores below 680. So what is subprime? 620? In addition, the rejection rate for auto loans has surpassed the application rate for the first time since the survey began in 2013, rising from 9.1% to 14.2%. We're not even getting into the recession good. We're just starting to head that way. We're starting to see people getting rejected for loans. Now, while I was at the bank, we were talking about some people taking out certain types of loans. And this just came out yesterday about HELOCs. People are really starting to jump on the HELOC bandwagon. That's home equity line of credit. Me and Stacy actually saw a billboard on the side of the road. You want a nice wedding or vacation? look at getting a HELOC. Variable rate. You know, that just doesn't make sense to me. But homeowners in the U.S. are increasingly turning to home equity lines of credit to access the increased value of their properties. That did what? I've got a story here from a lady that in Austin where real estate went berserk. She bought a house for $400,000 and it went to $1 million. Yeah, $560,000. 4 years later, this was in 2018. 4 years later, it's close to $1 million. So now keep in mind, this lady is a 39-year-old, no, man, is a 39-year-old real estate agent. Are real estate agents having a hard time? Are they about to have a hard time? I think around here, it's probably the worst time in history to be a real estate agent. So these people that are getting these lines of credit on their home that's at all-time highs, that are under, you know, they could actually raise the rate, a variable rate. So not only could the home go down in value, the rate could go up, which you had to pay back, as they make less money being a real estate agent. This is a recipe for some serious disaster for some, and for those that are prepared, somebody has to buy these homes up. If there's nobody left, if everybody is not, if everybody's broke and they can't buy it up, who gets to buy it? The buyer of last resort, you know, the Federal Bank Reserve? Are they going to own it all? I hope not. And the only way we can stop that in the short term is be ready and try not to do crazy stuff like this. And somebody, I have a real estate agent in here. She just said, Austin real estate is stupid. I drive in and paid half of what Austin prices are. Now, I agree. And real estate agents is like going to, just be careful when you deal with real estate agents. They're there to sell properties. They're there to sell real estate. So it never goes down according to them. But they're going to be in trouble. In recent years, lenders, scared by the financial crisis, kept a tight grip on HELOCs, which are considered risky for banks. The credit line functions as a second lien that's paid off after the primary mortgage. But 30-year loans cost at almost double yearly 2022 levels. Mortgage refinance department aren't ringing. The mortgage phones in their department are not ringing. The same thing the lady said at the bank. And typically there's an upfront fee for opening a HELOC, but interest does not accrue until the funds are being used. So that's kind of a, hey, go ahead and get it. Let's get it going, pay the upfront cost, and then we'll use it when we get in a bind. Well, when are you going to pay it back? Just saying. Now, there was one more story. Stacy, want to make sure I told you about the wedding billboard. That was pretty good. And I'm going to get in the comments. Guys, if you got any questions, a little bit more about yellow. That's it, guys. Watch these big companies as they go belly up, and they have to start liquidating their assets to make these pensions right. But I would more than likely look for some type of bailout. No, there's no sitting president that's going to let that happen. Especially, our president doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know if he's washing, drying, or hanging out. That's obvious. He walks around like this, doesn't know where to go. Smell the hair on my legs. That's it. Guys, if you have any questions, anything that you... only go to Austin for silver dimes. Okay. a lot of these jobs will be obsolete in the new dystopian world. That is true. In the new world that we're moving into, here comes Jose. In the new world we're moving into, it looks like the United Nations is going to eventually own everything, and they're going to do like they did through history and do everything they have to take property away from us. I kind of feel like this is after the next presidency, so it's very possible we could experience some real prosperity as we come out of this recession. As they do what they do, you can bank on politicians printing money. That's how they get elected. And hey, Jose, come say hello to everybody. And then I got to go to work. We've got a big project. I might take you over there and look at it, but I don't think I have enough signal over there. That's why I'm right here.
Hey, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody, Jose says. UPS 10-day strike said it's messy. It's messed up the economy delivery by 30%. Could cost us billions. Yeah. These freight. A really good friend of mine was getting into the trucking business, just starting as it was in all-time highs, and I tried to discourage him. Just wait, just hold up. Just same way with vehicles, they're getting cheaper. There's a bigger supply. We covered that yesterday or day before. IRAs with big investment. Yeah, I don't know. I know your 401k is supposed to be protected. I'm securing all sources for RV prices, looking to capitalize on some people having to give up those big toys. Yes, RVs are getting cheaper. And actually, as strange as it sounds, there's a bunch of them on the lot, and they haven't quit building them yet. So there's about to be even more as people start taking massive haircuts on the ones they already have. I got a good friend of mine that's experiencing that right now, but he's well off, and it's not going to bother him too much. But that makes a buying opportunity for everybody else, because if he has to take a haircut, it's like, okay, no big deal. He does better on all his other assets. But there's a lot of people that live about this much, they should be living about right here, and they're living here. Camper's the first thing to go. Something they can cut out of their life that won't make that big of an impact. Just bought a low mileage on a Power Stroke. That's awesome. Hope it's a 7.3. You know, I'm a nut about 7.3s. I want a mobile bug out. That is the best, in my opinion. And I heard George Gammon say it too, and I was happy to hear it. Because I've always had a camper. Me and Stacy actually lived in a camper for over 2 years when we were traveling, looking for the perfect piece of property, looking for the right job, and I was working shutdowns. And you can do it, and it's not that, you'd be surprised. I'll tell you that story and I'll let you go. But let me tell you this story about me and Stacy. So I met Stacy. I knew that day, or maybe it's the day after. I never want to lie to you guys. I knew I was going to marry her, okay? I didn't have anything, but I knew how to work, and I had a trade. So I guess I did have. If you got a trade, you really have something. And she was she was a higher up in Washington, D.C. She worked for the FBI in NCMEC. She's a saint. You guys know that. She actually had to view child pornography and find the criminals that were doing it, and she was pretty much over that office. She pretty much ran it. And a country boy from South Arkansas met her, and I did whatever it took to go get her. Well, I went up there, and I didn't fit in. I was like a square peg in a round hole. Anyway, long story's getting shorter. I came, and I said, hey, we're getting married. We're moving into a camper. Sell everything you got. I went back to work. I came back, and she had sold everything. And we moved into a camper, and we started running around. Now, I don't advise that for newlyweds. That was like the octagon. There's no way to get out. You're in a small space, and it's like testing with fire. Okay, you know the first year of marriage is rough anyway. Nice, 155,000 miles. It's not hurt. So anyway, we moved into the camper and experienced the camper life. It can completely be done. And if you have a camper, and that's actually what my project is. I'm building a structure to put my camper under. You've got a bug out plan. You can hook up to it and move to the next town. If it starts getting crazy and there's riots, you can move a little bit because you just don't know. We live in the Thunderdome now. The Thunderdome is anything post 2020. Anything goes. We're talking, people riding bicycles with masks on and all of the above. People don't know what they are. It's just, we're about to experience a lot like what Rome experienced. There's a book called The Storm Before the Storm, and it pretty much lays out kind of how Rome was and what we're experiencing now. So check out The Storm Before the Storm. It's kind of, it's a must read, I think. Brent Johnson turned me on to that. I'm going to have Brent Johnson on one day. I'm not going to bother him too much. I still like to hear about his dollar milkshake theory because it looks like that could very well happen. Or maybe it is happening. But back to the camper. They're about to get cheaper. If you can get one and not have to pay to store it, that's the main thing. If you got to pay somebody $100 a month to store a camper that's going down in value, because they pretty much are disposable. So I would recommend buying one. Auctions. Guys, I got our last camper at an auction and we gutted it. I put the furniture I wanted to put in it and we tore the floors up. We made it really nice. And I had like $10,000 in it. Okay? You don't have to. You can have a nice camper, do a little bit of, put a little sweat equity in it, if there is such a thing as equity in a camper. And you can have a really nice bug out place. And you can also, think about this, have a guest house, I guess I would say. I know some people turn them into Airbnbs, which that's a little, maybe not. But I want a pontoon again. Yeah, well, I would like a couple of work trucks out of the deal. I'm looking for a bigger facility for my welding business that I plan on taking advantage of. I probably should be doing that now, but when you know. My problem is timing. And that takes me back to the charts. If you guys are having trouble with charting, I'll leave Bravo's link in the description as well, because I'm going to do them both. I'm going to do them both. I'm probably going to do them twice, and I'm going to approach this just like I had to do it to survive, because what we got coming, there's just no telling. And I'm not going to be holding on to something, watching it go down in value anymore. I'm going to be trading and holding hard assets. And I'm not trying to talk bad about the miners or anything like that. I still think they're going to do really good. But just know there's a good chance they're going to go down first. I'm still going to be talking about them. I'm still going to be accumulating. But just know that up front, there's no telling. And they could go to the moon. I think they will one day. All right, guys. Have an awesome day. I'll see you in the next one. Later.